The market is in disbelief. How do you trade it from here? Today we'll break that down with you. We've got Aldo joining in a little bit. You've probably heard me mention Uphold before, and there's a reason I keep talking about them. Uphold makes it incredibly easy to bridge the gap between your portfolio and the real world. This has not been done before. Their Uphold debit card is the best example of that. It lets you spend your crypto or your cash anywhere Visa is accepted, all while earning 4% back in XRP on every purchase. It's the easiest way to stack rewards on your daily spending. Download the Uphold app for more and get started. If you jump over to Inverse Cramer, he is back. Jim Cramer, I'm going to sell my Bitcoin. 2 weeks later, Bitcoin up 25. Actually, it's up more than that now. So again, Cramer is doing his best to support the crypto market. I want to lead off with a clip before we bring in Evan here and give you guys kind of an insight, because this is, well, take a look.
I think Bitcoin has lost the plot. And when I started buying Bitcoin, and I've sold all of it.
I bought the dip, and how I can't keep buying the dip. I have no money left to buy the dip. The dip, great. What do I buy the dip? Well, what am I going to pay for the dip? If I keep buying the dip, it keeps dipping. You got no money to buy the dip. You're out of dip.
This is the most bearish thing. I have zero desire. So last night I sold my Bitcoin. I sold my Bitcoin yesterday. I was holding a good amount of coins. I'm completely out of Bitcoin. 100% out of Bitcoin.
I sold all my Bitcoin, and I suffered absolutely massive financial losses.
Well, it's unwinding all of crypto. We're seeing Bitcoin collapse below $60,000 again. The fact that Michael Saylor is allowed to walk around free right now is absolutely criminal. Somebody needs to arrest him. If I see this guy, I'm going to perform a citizen's arrest and lock this guy up. Okay, because this is absolutely fucking criminal, Michael.
All right, so a lot of people very upset. So I thought, hey, let's bring in Evan Aldo and let's try to sort this out. Evan, a lot of people selling the bottom there. And of course, the market has recorrected here consistently now for the last 3 or 4 days. And all of this, some people would think, is driven by what Besant is talking about. Some people would say, no, it's happening because of clarity. When you look at what's happening right now on Bitcoin, first of all, where do you stand? Do you like this move? Would you come out right now, or would you continue to hold this on?
It's obviously, so the main thing I would look at right now is so much to say. I mean, August, obviously a really good month. I mean, there were obvious signs with the fear and greed, that we would probably get some type of relief. We coiled up for a while. Volatility was really low. And then a bunch of people, bought it up, obviously. And now if you look at my chart, we're all the way up to almost 80K. So a lot of times these trend reversals tend to happen, or these changes tend to happen at the end of the month. So I think in all likelihood, you're probably going to keep going up from now into the end of August. It's only about 10 more days. So, but it's going to be probably a little bit slower. And I think 82K, like these areas, obviously, that we rejected from back in May are really big areas, potentially even a little bit more if things get really crazy, like high 80s. But let's focus on kind of 82K. And you'd probably see this by the beginning of September. And then what'll likely happen? You'll get some seasonality. There's a high likelihood that this will follow and see some type of correction before midterms with the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ, which I think those will continue to correct a bit as well. But don't worry, probably nothing too crazy. Like trying to sell this, I think, is trying to, and to get better prices is kind of foolish. But Bitcoin's typically known before a midterm election, September, October, for a 10 to 20% drop down. That's how I would guess. Maybe back to 65, maybe, something of that nature would make sense. In terms of buying or selling right now, it's kind of tough to say. I think long term, it's still anything below 80 is great, still a really great point. Obviously, Paul, if you've been listening to me or you over the past few months, we were obviously very bullish and thinking this is a good point. Obviously low 60s, we were talking about that since February. Kind of those good areas.
You look at, if you look at historically how this asset has performed, and you go all the way back into January of 23, there was a period there across 3 weeks that it went up 42%. So we had a 3-week run. It's somewhat sideways, but from there, everybody understand that was the run up for Bitcoin to what we saw that has been the asset that many people kind of look at. And my question is, do you think this is the beginning of that era? Or do you think this is more of a sideways chop from here, or do you feel like this is going to take off from here?
Yeah, I mean, if I had to guess, I would say we're gonna see a correction September, October. This is my guess here. Take it with a grain of salt, but this is what seasonality would tell you. Something like this, we come up, then we get a correction, maybe 20% back down, maybe back down to 65, and then I think I've told you, a month or two ago, end of year, I could still see 92K, something like this. And then so to answer that question about that January of 2023, I think December may be kind of your January, and then your 2027 is great, and you could potentially make a new all-time high at some point in 2027. So that's my best guess here, based on seasonality and all that.
We're going to talk about maybe how to play this too at the end of the show, because there's a lot of people that maybe got sidelined on this and just weren't ready. And there's many of you that have been just holding through and saying, hey, I'm just going to hold through this bear market, not pay attention to charts, and then yesterday kind of gave you a little bit of reward. I do want to play a couple of clips because this is two different angles on how Bitcoin could affect the market in general. Here is Mike McGlone. Take a look.
It's August. It's a perfect time of year to flush out the shorts in a bear market, get everybody excited, and then go back down. So it's finally bounced above its 200-day moving average, which has rolled over. But the key way I look at Bitcoin is it's a horrible performing asset with a high correlation to the stock market, and it has a major risk of going down. I will be on the record that this is a dog. I think it's going to roll over by the end of the year. And the only thing that will support it now is the stock market has to go up.
All right, so Mike was wrong. Let's play a clip from Mathew Sigel. He kind of goes the other route, and he says it's not clarity that's causing this. Take a look.
I don't think this move is about clarity at all. I think this is all about what the Treasury has done, and it is reigniting these fears of fiscal dominance. So, we think this ultimately means lower real rates, a structurally weaker dollar, and Bitcoin is one of the best hedges you can find on that dynamic. So, I don't think the market's looking at clarity right now. It was a coiled spring, and I think it goes higher.
100K now?
Nothing is in a straight line. I told you guys 100K would be next year. Still believe that. And then, long term, 2029, say we can hit 500K if the cycle plays out as usual.
All right, so you can see two different traders, both from traditional finance. You have something that is absolutely historic right now. Bitcoin is moving 140 times faster than the stock market. It surged 20% in less than 5. And of course, rising to above 77. That's dated numbers because that has now moved considerably more than that, along with some other assets that have kind of gone in that. If you compare Bitcoin to the S&P right now on the chart, Evan, is there a rotation happening right now? Is that what we're seeing?
There is 1,000% rotation happening. And this is just clockwork, Paul. I mean, look at this. In this bear market, so you had 87% drop against S&P 500. In this bear market, next one was 83, next one was 74. You can notice the pattern. It gets a little less catastrophic every time. This one was 60%. I think that's good enough. I mean, probably your worst case scenario here, in my opinion, is doing something like this, just coming back down, retesting these lows. But you should be home free. You should be generally home free. And for those who think they really missed out on Bitcoin, you missed out on a 30% gain against S&P 500, but you're still very low compared against the SPY. You're still down 46% against the SPY. So it still is a good rotation. I mean, not any type of advice, but it still is not a terrible idea to convert some SPY shares over to Bitcoin, depending on your risk tolerance. So this could outperform the SPY for the next 2-3 years easily.
2 to 3. Wow. You've got Ethereum also edging in with a very strong couple of days, including the breakout in the Ethereum spot ETFs, which saw a ridiculous amount of ETF and ETH growth yesterday. Largest single day buying in 10 months. So you've got obvious bullish signs right now. I've got a clip of Arthur Hayes talking about Ethereum because this is one of the more hated assets out there. Take a look.
So you went all in on Ethereum. Why Ethereum over Bitcoin?
Ethereum is the bet right now. It's the most hated mega cap crypto. It has not eclipsed its 2001 all-time high. People hate it. Nothing's happening. They're making fun of the foundation for other weirdness and the selling and all that kind of stuff. And so it's just a hated coin. But it's also the most vibrant DeFi ecosystem. It's the base chain for a lot of these new RWA protocols like Robinhood. And so it's got a good, narrative as a security DeFi layer. And yeah, I think that's a good enough layer, a good enough narrative, plus the bombed out nature, the lack of performance over the last 4 years, which creates the rip. It's this, oh shit, finally it's East time. Let's fucking go.
All right, so there you go, LFG for sure. You've been a strong ETH proponent, Evan, for a while. I'm looking at my chart, and I'm thinking this is eerily similar back to what we saw in April with that push up to 2,400. You and I talked a lot about it back then, is the dip opportunity that it was going to create, which it did, and now ETH is bumping that breakout zone. What does Ethereum look like right now in the next few months?
So yeah, I mean, obviously huge, we coiled up, we jumped upward. The weekly 200 SMA is going to be a huge point. This is a point a lot of people care about, around 24.86 right now. So I would guess seasonality would tell us we come up just a little bit more this month into the end of this month. Probably we do get to that 2,500, and then we would probably get, hopefully, and you kind of want a healthy correction here. September, October, you kind of want some type of healthy correction before midterms. Probably nothing too bad. I would guess maybe 15, 20% down, maybe another retest to 2,000 that I would guess for, into September, October before midterms. I think especially if the Democrats sweep in midterms, that's going to be a good point to buy because there's going to be a lot of fear if the Democrats take the House and Senate. And then from there, after that, you would kind of be home free and hopefully, jump up to 3,000, maybe end of year, probably beginning of next year, quarter one next year, I would look at kind of 3,000. So this is the most healthy, seasonality, historic prediction I can make here. I think this is likely.
Okay, so a couple of points I want to get out. First on the ETH versus Bitcoin chart. So pull that up. And then also, do you think we end up getting out of the range here on Ethereum in general? I mean, holding this 2,400 range, this is kind of the zone that I think if it comes out of this could start to look at a pretty aggressive growth going forward. If in fact that we get clarity, and also we may get some CFTC guidance now, it looks like, with Selig out there threatening this. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're not going to break above it just yet. If I had to, make an educated guess here, not break above that 2,400 just yet. Obviously, it would be momentous. It's a huge area with that weekly. That same point you mentioned is the weekly 200 SMA, like I was talking about. So you rejected from it last time. I don't know if she's got the legs to break through it right now, before now and midterms, because we know that's historically a more bearish time. And I think TradFi will sell off a little bit more too. But I can see consolidation, and then we're going to break above, maybe quarter four, well, maybe December at the earliest, but most likely quarter one, we break above that area. Now, you mentioned ETH versus Bitcoin. I think there's a ton of momentum here, and this is still a good deal. This is, what we've bled, we're still down 60% against Bitcoin since 2022, essentially. You're getting rare bullish signs, rare bullish momentum changes. This looks great against Bitcoin. I would remain bullish on this as long as you kind of hold these February lows here. So, everybody's got their own risk tolerance. It depends how much Bitcoin you want to convert to ETH. Everybody's got their own risk tolerance there. So, yeah.
Evan, we got to talk about MicroStrategy. They're up 10% in pre-market trading right now, with Bitcoin up considerably. It's holding 840,000 in Bitcoin. Looks pretty good for Michael Saylor right now. What about Strategy as the stock? Is this something you would invest in at where it is right now?
So it looks good, man. It looks really good. The 2 week, all these, the weekly rare bullish signs, it definitely could have bottomed. The main concern, the main thing I don't like about this from a fundamental standpoint is they sold some Bitcoin for a loss. And if I myself just bought Bitcoin and borrowed against it like he did, I could create my own treasury company that has better fundamentals, at a better kind of buy-in price. You know what I mean? So that's my main caveat with this. But it looks great, man. It does look really good. The main thing you want to look at this is MicroStrategy versus Bitcoin. And that looks decent as well. It's, coming up, at these areas. The thing too is I want to see a little bit more momentum. It's still below these points, still below these lows that you saw back in February, and it kind of rejected from them here. I don't think it has the momentum for me to want to buy this over Bitcoin or sell my Bitcoin to buy MicroStrategy just yet. So that's my view.
All right, so still the core asset versus MicroStrategy in general. All right, another one that surged, of course. Well, everything was in the green yesterday and the day before, but right now you've got Hyperliquid surging to almost, well, it's back to another all-time high. And you look at this right now with Hyperliquid. I've been in this one for a while. This is the first time I've actually thought maybe it's time. Or is it, Evan? Is this one, and do you think, if the CFTC were to get lucky and try to onshore Hyperliquid, that would absolutely explode this one in terms of a project. What do you think about this as an investment right now?
Well, I think it's going to do well over the next 2, 3 years. I think this is kind of I don't want to say just the beginning, but I think there's more to go. Definitely. I mean, I think could easily probably double within the next 2, 3 years. Short term, I mean, you have one technical target that you kind of broke above it. You made a new all-time high. Your one technical target is going to be around 109. Somewhere between 100 to 130 is probably where you're going to end up by quarter 1 of next year. Now, my thing with this, if I had to guess here, I think we're going to have one last kind of drop down, retest maybe some of these areas, and then kind of continue forward. So that's my view. But no, I think this is good. I think this can continue forward. It's a riskier bet. I think I have a small position in it, nothing too crazy, but I wouldn't sell. I definitely wouldn't sell this.
Okay, so hold through on this one. Let's look at Uniswap, because Uniswap is one that has been, I think, under the radar. You look at what's going on with Clarity, or the lack of. Uniswap could take a little bit of heat from that, but at the same time, we may get a whole new landscape of how the CFTC and the SEC are going to manage this. So if you're looking at the Uniswap chart right now, first of all, how are you playing Uniswap today? And if you have not owned Uniswap, would you purchase it right now at $4?
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a position in this. I just have a lot of things that have more momentum and, I think could potentially outperform it, but I don't have it. If I wanted to get it, yeah, I think it's a decent buy. I mean, I wouldn't put a ton in this for obvious reasons, but trigger wave right here on the 2-day, I think inevitably you're going to eventually jump up to at least 560 here, these points. I think there's a very high likelihood. I mean, this thing's been in a bear market for, the problem with this is it's been in a bear market since literally 2021. Usually things don't come back when they've been in a 5-year bear market, but that doesn't mean you can't make money on them or trade them. So this definitely, technical targets are going to be, it's probably at least going to get to $6, $7 at some point. So yeah, I think it's good. The fundamentals have gotten a little bit better on this. Some very higher time frames, like the weekly, don't look as good as on some other things. So you kind of got to be careful. I would guess, if I had to really guess what's going to happen here, something of this nature, and then you finally break upward maybe later this year or early next year. I think we're going to consolidate a little bit for a lot of these. So yeah.
Let's jump over to Solana, because Solana had a huge upgrade right here in terms of their network now almost cutting in half what their speed is. So in terms of 3 more upgrades that are planned to bring it down to 200 milliseconds. Basically, this is going to become the fastest chain out there. So how does Solana line up for you? Would this be an investment as it is right now after this major pump?
Yeah. I mean, this is still great. I mean, it's not even, I mean, it's up a lot, but it's still, below numbers that we saw in May, essentially. And I think this should, between now and the end of the month, retest or at least get up to, $100, potentially retest that. And I would think some consolidation there a bit, maybe a 10 to 20% correction from there, and then we'd probably do better. ETH and Bitcoin already ran. I think this has a little bit more room to run, and probably over the next week, actually. So I'm pretty excited for this over the next week. So
Solana,
it's good. It's good.
A little bit more dicey. Okay. So you're liking that one. We have to talk about XRP. They have now cleared Clearpool and Cicada in terms of now institutional capital funneling into earning assets or earning potential yields. So this is going to change the way XRP institutional works, as well as XRP, retail is working around putting their assets into DeFi. So with that being the case, Ripple, of course, and XRP absolutely on fire. I think up 40% in the last 3 or 4 days. So how would you play XRP right now, sitting at around 140?
XRP is one of the craziest things I've seen in my entire life. My God, this thing just goes insane. I mean, right now, I think you will see some consolidation. I mean, long term, I think it's a decent buy. There's major momentum shifts obviously happening when you get a 40% jump. This thing's crazy. But I would guess you'd probably see something like this. You maybe could see a retest of 120 or something between now and midterms. But I generally think this is going to be going up into the right over the next 2 years, 2-3 years. So I think it's a pretty good buy. That could have been the bottom against Bitcoin here and the bottom on its USD pair. So I think it's good.
Where would you put these 3 assets right now if you were splitting up a 10K portfolio? Ethereum, Solana, XRP. So those are the top 3 tokens outside of Bitcoin. How would you split that up?
Yeah, it depends on your risk tolerance. I mean, me personally, for what I would do, I would probably go 60%. 60% ETH, obviously, and then 20% Sol, 20% XRP. I think that would make the most sense. Yeah.
I'd kind of split those up all together, just 33, 33, 33.
Yeah.
Run them all and just see how they perform. Let's talk about a strategy if you missed it, because this is a real issue that a lot of people are kind of kicking themselves right now, going, man, why did I sell that low? Why did I, maybe give up on the market? You've got people out there that say, well, okay, I could go ahead with revenge shorts, or I don't do an oversized buy. All of those kind of things, which I would do none of those. How would you play it right now? What would you do?
If I had
money was on the sidelines.
Yeah. If I had nothing at all right now, I would DCA from now till midterms, probably DCA from now till end of the year, probably makes the most sense. Okay. I think the odds are very high that you would see at least a 10 to 20%, from Bitcoin between now and midterms. So I would try to DCA to at least get some exposure to that, somewhat of that correction. Buying a lump sum right now probably isn't the worst idea in the entire world, because you're still below 80K. It's still not, you're still significantly below all-time highs, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And you're still significantly depressed against your S&P 500, against your NASDAQ. So it's still a very good deal. I would, try to be strategic in DCA though.
Out of the top 10 right now, Evan, which one would you say is the best buy right now? If you look at the top 10, I'll just go over to CoinMarketCap. Bitcoin's setting in there right now at 77.5. You've got Ethereum holding at 24 and some change. Then you've got BNB at 680, XRP at $1.40, Solana, Tron, Hyperliquid, and then Doge, Zcash, and Chainlink. Mm-hmm. Which one of those would be your best buy right now if you said, hey, I'm going to go ahead and deploy a little capital into one of these?
Probably if you're just trying to get the best bang for your buck out of all that, probably Hyperliquid, I would guess. Mm-hmm. I would say. If you're trying to be, if you just want a sure thing at potentially outperforming Bitcoin and just getting a decent return, Ethereum would be the one. The other ones, Chainlink has some potential there, but the other ones are dicey, man. Dogecoin, the other Cardano, some of these are dicey here.
Well, Chainlink up 30% in the last week. You've got Hyperliquid up 36. XRP still holding the Titan position at 40% in the last week, and then 23 and 28 on ETH. Would you go ahead and deploy more capital into ETH right now at 2,400?
I would DCA. I think the odds are very high that you'll see maybe a 20% correction between now and midterms.
Off
so
of this.
I think DC.
Okay.
Yeah, you're very high likelihood that you'll see at least 10% between now and midterms.
So you could straddle orders in at a 5 under or a 10% under this for a buy. Look at a DCA position. Do that on a handful of these, and then look at deploying more capital when that happens, based on what could be happening in the market at that time, because there's a lot that is going to be going on, obviously, with DC, and even with the news out on the CFTC today. So there's going to be some more, I think, more market movement in the short term. Bullish, bearish, do you think in short term? I know you're long-term bullish, but what about short term, next 30 days?
Next 30 days, seasonality would tell you we'll see some type of correction in September or October. Usually September is historically a bad month. So next 30 days, I would... Next 7 days bullish. Next 30 days after that 7 days would be probably, if I had to really guess, would be a bit bearish, maybe a 10%, 10 to 15% drop.
So in and out on the market there for you guys. Make sure and visit Evan Aldo over on YouTube. You guys can find him just at Evan Aldo. Very easy to do. Does a ton of trading videos and some live streams that you guys will have some fun at. If you haven't done trading before, this is a good place to go. Evan, thanks for coming in today. We appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Paul. It was an honor talking to you.
If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, drop a comment down below, and also join our free private member group. The link is in the description.